Hello, how you doing? My name is Roger Gitonga, and I'll be taking you through chapter 14, which is known as individuals, groups, and teams. Now, one of the key factors in this chapter is the theories that have been written by different writers about groups and teams, and we'll be looking at them and just basically trying to try and understand what these writers had in mind when they were talking about this. Now, the very first thing we're going to be looking at is individuals. Now, personality is the total pattern of characteristic ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving that constitutes the individual's distinctive method of relating to the environment. Now, there's nowhere in the exam where they will ask you what personality is. Two, attitude is a mental state exerting a directive or dynamic influence upon the individual's response to all objects and situations with which it is related. In order to manage an individual, you have to observe their attitude at work and attitude to work. I love that they've been able to describe attitude as a mental state. It's something that you choose, for yourself. If you choose a negative attitude, then you'll find negative things come happening to you. If you choose a positive attitude, then you'll ideally find positive things happening to you. And I hope you have chosen a positive attitude to this video at the same time to your exams. Intelligence. Now we're going to be looking at different types of intelligence. We have analytic intelligence, which is traditionally measured by IQ test, and it would include reasoning, logic, and verbal fluency. Then we have spatial intelligence, which is the ability to see patterns and connections, which is mostly found in artists and scientists. You find that artists see things that sometimes you do not see. I've visited an art gallery, and sometimes I can start a picture and I don't even know what I'm seeing. At the same time, if an artist comes, you'd analyze that picture so well and see things I can't even see. At the same time, you have practical intelligence, just being good with your hands. So we talk about handiness. Then we have intrapersonal intelligence. Now the word intra basically means self. So you basically look at how good are you at yourself, how good or how well do you know yourself. So basically, how can you handle stress, self-awareness, self-control, self-impression. Then we have interpersonal intelligence, where you deal now with other people. How can you how to cooperate with people? Are you empathetic? Do you consider people's feelings? Do you understand them? And the likes. Now, individuals, we're going to be looking at the role theory, and this is where now you find examinable parts. Now, it suggests that people behave in any situation according to people's expectations of how they should behave in that situation. Now, if you are a parent, then your child would expect you to act in a certain way. If you are a student, then teachers alike would expect you to act in a certain way. So you realize that your role would ideally depict what people expect from you. Now, a role set is a group of people who respond to you in a given role. E.g., the finance manager will be seen as superior and professional in the accounts department. So you realize that people will look at the role set is a group of people who respond to you in a given role. So if you're the finance manager, the rest of the department will look at you as the boss. Then we have role ambiguity. Now, ambiguity will basically mean unclear or uncertain. So it's where you do not know which role you're playing at a given time. For example, if a manager befriends his staff, some will be confused whether they stand as a friend or as a junior. And this is a big problem, because as a manager, you'd want to make very critical decisions, and then sometimes you might step on some feet. But you realize if you've been so close friends with your juniors, then sometimes it might stop you from making decisions that would have taken the company forward. Then role incompatibility or role conflict occurs when you are expected to operate in two roles at once. For instance, you are an owner of the school, but at the same time you have your grandson in your school, and you find that your grandson has been misbehaving, so you end up asking yourself, are you going to play the role of a grandmother or the role as the owner of the school? And you find yourself maybe suspending your own grandson from the school. And this is actually a practical example because I have witnessed it. Then the last one, role signs show what role you hold, e.g., the style of dressing. Now, an executive suit with a red tie could indicate power above all. Be very careful to wear a red tie when you go for an interview, especially if you're going for a very, not such a senior management position, but maybe a lower position. This will show that you have power, and maybe the people that are interviewing you are your bosses, and they would feel like maybe you're trying to take authority over them. So some of these things can really show a lot about you. Role models are the persons you aspire to be like, okay? And I'm sure that some of us, or most of us, have a role model or people that you look up to. Now, teams, it is a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose, performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves basically accountable. Now we have multidisciplinary teams which contain people from different departments pooling the skills of specialists. Now, when you're talking about disciplines, you're talking about different departments. We have people from marketing, people from accounting, people from procurement, people from HR, and you'll realize that they will all come together to form one team so that they can achieve a certain task. Then we have multi-skilled teams which contain people who themselves have more than one skill. So you'll find a team of, like, let's say 5 people, but each person contains so many skills. So they're multi-skilled, and hence they form a multi-skilled team. Then groups. Now, groups is a collection of people who perceive themselves as a group. It has to have a sense of belonging, a sense of identity, loyalty to the group, and purpose and leadership. If you're all working together on the streets, you can't consider yourselves a group until you feel a sense of belonging amongst the people that you're around with. But as long as you're moving around with people and you don't feel any sense of belonging with each other or to each other, then that would consider you guys to be just a crowd, right? Now, groups offer what we call a synergy, which is 2 plus 2 is equals to 5. Now, I know this just contradicts maybe your understanding of math, but let me just explain this. Now, this basically means that the pooling and stimulation of ideas and energy in a group can allow greater contribution than individuals working on their own, which basically means that, divided we fall, together we stand, and you'd find that at the same time you can do much more if you are together rather than if you are alone. Now, building team roles. Now, this is one of the most tested concepts in this chapter. Now, I'll just give you an understanding of this. Now, a plant tends to give birth to something new. So you realize that the person, Belbin, felt that he'd first of all identify 9 key roles or 9 team roles or 9 roles that people play in a team. So the plant is the creative one, the one who is free thinking, generates ideas and the likes. But they're too preoccupied to communicate effectively because they're creative. So they're not able to speak of what they feel. They're not able to describe what they feel. Now, with the resource investigator, this is the person you call when you need something. And it's such a person, they're outgoing, they're enthusiastic, they speak with people, they're extroverts, and they know how to develop contacts. But the thing with them is that they're over optimistic, and once initial enthusiasm has passed, they lose interest. With a coordinator, now the person who plays the coordinator has to be very mature and confident, and they know how to identify talent and to delegate effectively. The problem with them is that since they delegate a lot, they could also delegate their own work, and at the same time, because they're so confident in themselves, then they could also be seen as manipulative. Now, a shaper. When we're talking about a shaper, there's a recent song that came out saying Shape of Me by Ed Sheeran. And what you'd find out from this song is that basically what I would think of a shaper is like a liquid, and with a liquid you'd find that if anywhere that you pour water, it will take the shape of whatever you've poured in it. So with a shaper, they're able to come through or work through any obstacles. They're able to thrive on pressure. They're able to work through tough times. The problem with them is that since they're so good in basically adapting situations, then they can offend people's feelings because they'll ask you, how are you not able to do this? And in your mind, you're thinking, but this is so hard. Then with a monitor evaluator, this person has to be very strategic and sober, and they see all options and they judge accurately, and hence you see the eye over there. The problem with them is that they lack drive, and since they evaluate so much, since they monitor so much, they cannot they lose their ability to inspire people because they look at your faults a lot. They remember they're evaluating you, they're monitoring you, so they can be overly critical as well. Now, the team worker, they're very cooperative, they're diplomatic, they try to reduce any friction in the team. But at the same time, they don't like confrontation because, for them, they love peace on the team. So any confrontation for them would mean lack of peace in the team, and hence they avoid such things, even if it means compromising. Then implementer. This person is the type of person who you have an idea, but you want to convert that idea into a practical solution or something practical, and you will call up the implementer to do just that. But at the same time with them, they're slow to respond to new possibilities and they're somewhat inflexible. Now with the completer finisher, this person is a perfectionist. Give them something to do and they will completely finish the job. They will polish the job. They will search for any errors and do that job perfectly. And the problem with them is that since they are perfectionists, they tend to worry a lot, you get, and they don't like to delegate because they feel like you'll not do the job like the way they would want to. Now, a specialist is single-minded. Remember, they specialize, so they focus on one thing, and they're very good at what they do. So they provide a rare supply of skills and knowledge. But the thing with them is that they dwell so much on technicalities because they're good at what they do, but at the same time, they contribute on a narrow front. Now, team development, Tuckman. Tuckman looked at 4 stages of how a team develops. The first thing he said is that the team forms. Okay, so here people come together, they impress personalities on each other, they get to know each other, but they still don't know what the objectives are clearly. All right, and it's still the leader has not yet emerged from the team. So they form, they get to know each other. And at the same time, now storming occurs. The problem with storming is that as storming comes up, you find that there's a lot of conflict because storming could come in 2 ways. I could either brainstorm, which means many ideas come up, or at the same time, I could also storm off, which means I leave when I'm angry. A lot of fighting occurs, a lot of conflict occurs here, because this is when people are trying now to come up with ways of how to settle down, but they're not yet settled down. They're trying to come up with objectives, they're trying to set realistic targets and the likes, and the trust starts to increase amongst members. The norming, now this is the time where things become normal, so they settle down and methodological work is introduced and maintained. Methodological work basically means that at least they found a suitable method of how they'll be able to work together. Then once they settle down, they can now perform. So they execute the task. Then 2 stages were added by other writers. First one was dorming. When you think of dorming, you should think of a school dorm where people sleep. So dorming is a process of a team sleeping. Now they've gotten into their what do I call it, the comfort zone. And as they are now comfortable, they might start to sleep. Okay, they might get complacent and fall back. And sadly enough, morning occurs. The team now has fulfilled its purpose. It breaks. There's confusion, there's sadness, there's anxiety. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope that with the principles that you've learned here, you'll be able to maybe build a team that will be really strong and formidable, and you'll be able to be a great leader in whatever you do. All the best. Stay focused and subscribe to our videos, subscribe to our channel. Thank you.